Hello, everybody, and thanks to be with us in this evening, in this afternoon here in Spain, to share this chat with us. And this time with Raúl Luzón is one of our professors of the program. This program is the Sports Training and Nutrition Master, and we are so proud and thanks to him to share with us this time to try to share with us some information about the things we are doing in our program. So Raúl, once again, thank you so much for your time and to be with us. Now I give you the chat, the control to stay with our mates.
Hi to everyone, and thanks to you for the invitation to share this short time to the people and show the things about the endurance training and the field that I work and I research. Well, like Guillermo said before, I'm going to talk today about nutrition and training for success in endurance racing and training, and the implication from the endurance area, the endurance field, the endurance research and application in conjunction with nutrition and dietetics and all the matter about the small detail to improve the performance and, of course, the health of the athletes. First of all, I would like to say that when I start my studies in sports science, I was very interested in the metabolism and the application for the endurance and other powers, team sport, and the time between the high performance reaching and the training for get this success in the athletes. For that, I continue studying dietetics and nutrition, and after that I did my PhD in physiology and the different sports coach certificates to apply not only with the practice and experience in training and competing by me, and translating the research and the new things or the new knowledge and the new contacts with other people and other college from my students, from my athletes, and the people today with you. I would like to thank a lot all the institution I have been working or doing research and collaborated today with some of them, and I would like to thank and this opportunity today with Escuela Universitaria Real Madrid from Universidad Europea. I would like to give the opportunity to you about some inputs we take in account in the master program and different program in the master. At the beginning, with nutrition training or endurance training, we have to take always keep in mind the exercise physiology. For that, I always say to the people, to the students, to the sport athletes, the exercise physiology, we have to have a look to the clinical recommendation. To the continuity is the main things in the training. If the athletes have continuity, maybe they reach their goals. After that, we have to do the interpretation from some lab exercise tests or some data from this test, and translate and put in the real field in the practice with the trainings program. For that, the exercise physiology books I recommend are some of these. I am so you for keeping in your library, personal library, and the most actual in the current sport nutrition books is this, the new version of sport nutrition from Michael Gleason and Ask Jakendrup, who is a professor in this master's too, with some classes in Madrid. And like Don McLaren and James Morton from Birmingham University say in these books for biochemistry for sport and exercise metabolism, all the students, all the athletes, when they are training, is quite or very important to keep in mind the question how occur the things and why. And this or the responses to this question, or the answer to this question, are very important to interpret the data from biochemistry, physiology, and of course in training and diet plan. And some books on some reference very news very from this year and the last month of the previous year is Endurance Training Science from Practice from Inigo Mujica and other collaborators. And one of the most applied to the endurance training, like cycling, is in this book, Internal Training, from Ben Ronstad from Norway. Who is working with some triathletes or elites in the top today world scenario, like Christian Blumenfeld, Gustav Iden from Olympic distance in triathlon to Ironman distance, and record and victories in Hawaii or Kona. From Spain, Carles Tour is a coach, nutritional physiotherapist, and Facundo Amada from Argentina. Instead of, is quite important to keep in mind the cycling science and the muscle hypertrophy implicated to keep the muscle mass in endurance, not only to hypertrophy for power sport. And the actual magical things, no magical, because it's very useful and is the principal metric we take in account today for prescription of training in endurance, not only in cycling, instead of in running and triathlon, is the power or the power meter the athletes are using in the bike, or the shoes, etc., and is related directly with metabolism and kilojoules and kilocalories that the athletes have to take in the ingestion and different periodization of nutrition. And finally, I would like to show you two books with different recipes adapted to cyclists. These books are from Hannah Grant and Stacy Sin, chef or doctor nutritionist from elite cycling teams, and during the Tour de France and other grand tours and different stage tours in the world, no, in the top and elite level. But all the people can put in the kitchen and cook, and dietitian or nutritionist put in their periodization. Well, the introduction of this speech is about the different metrics and different variables we have to take in account: VO2 max, thresholds, economy, different points like fat max or maximum fat oxidation, these points, and the amount of fats the athletes are using at different intensity, which is the start point, like resting metabolic rate, and different consideration, no? Like a food intake, training low, rest, different pathologies, no, in amateur people or master people or different age group categories, competition, no? If we go to the lab tests, we have different tests: Aston and Remy, 2 or 4 millimoles thresholds of lactate, power, FTP, critical power, or ventilatory threshold, or the newest today is HRV, heart rate variability, with DF alpha 1 from assess and check the different threshold with no invasive techniques and only tablet and iPad and therefore in the ergometer, like cycling or running in the lab or in a very close space in the gym or box, etc. Excuse me. We use ergometer or the bike or another equipment and the variable to measure or take into account the external load like velocity, gradient, cadence, tercing, or apply force in the strength training, like a gym with encoder and apps. Always take into account the physics and translate to the metabolism, from mechanic work like watts to metabolic or caloric units like kilocalories or kilojoules. And for that, it's very easy to communicate the work that the athletes are doing in the bike, for example, with while they are cycling, to expenditure during this time in training or competition, like from aerobic source or substrates to anaerobic like lactate or phosphagen, ATP or supplement related with creatine, all of this. For that, it's very important to take in account, like this paper shows, longitudinal assessing or go to the lab or test in the field to monitorize the response to the load of the training program and specifically to nutritional periodization or use different supplements. So that is interesting to see which metrics, which device we are using. We are comparing from the previous year for the previous session, for the last top competition, or in an injury period. For that is very useful if the people, the trainer, the dietitian or nutritionist have a lot of data. We analyze today with different software, different apps, interpret all the responses to the training and the application with the nutrition. In this area, it's very important the train intensity distribution, or not only time, sometimes a distant intensity distribution. For example, with a physiological checkpoint like a threshold or fat max or VO2 max. We can classify the training and more specifically nutritional field to the different option or the special estimation to the expenditure at which substrate the athletes are using. For example, in this picture, we can see from New York City Marathon the day after, the runner is suffering to go downstairs, and maybe there is a muscle injury, there is a muscle aspects they are changing from the minute one in the marathon, the days after, and what's happened inside the muscle, what's happened there. Well, we can go to molecular pathways of the cell, inside the cell, inside the mitochondria, what's happened with PGC1 alpha, TFAM, etc., and all the things relating the metabolism with the effort in the competition, like New York City Marathon or training session. After that, we have to consider the different muscle fibers and their metabolism, the different option to use the substrates like phosphocreatine or ATP or carbohydrates, fats, etc. Not only in the stores, in the muscle store, liver stores, and supplements or food they are intaking pre, during, and after the effort. This picture shows like women that are running, very old age. Maybe we hope reach this age doing a sport or doing exercise or physical activity or movement at least. We consider all the things during the long life and the lifespan in different age group, age period, and different categories with former or senior, or where we change to master until this age. After that, we consider all the things from companies, medical, pharmacological company, etc. The research, always taking account the illegal things, doping, always make sure that your athletes are doing the proper things, always with supplement are legal, or with a renowned brand, etc. And after that, go to running, and go to the apply in the training or competition scenario. When we talk about sport nutrition, I have in my mind, I have in my head always two images like that. One is the effort agonist until the end, until the finish line, and after that we always say which things, magical things like panoramics or another wizard, is which thing I have to take, I have to put in my next intake, during my planning or my competition execution. Always the basis of this endurance say parallel faster. If you want to be an Olympic champion, choose your parents wisely, because the main thing is, or the start point is, the genetics. Because the basic predictors of performance in endurance is VO2 max, the anaerobic or ventilatory threshold 2, the second one, and the running economy. Maybe ignore until the last years of this century is more important, put in the practical things, which trainer, medical staff, nutrition staff. For that, go to from genetics to different options for the improve the running economy. For example, we have to take the metabolic efficiency always in the planning in running, for example, but yes, in cycling or and triathlon or endurance sport, and the cardiorespiratory efficiency. For that, it's very important to assess the cardiorespiratory fitness and goes to metabolic efficiency or of the substrates. We researched in the past about the metabolomics and spontaneous exercise in animals, suggesting increased lipolysis and altered glucose metabolism when the animals are at rest. Now, for that, it's very important that the people think about the uh, expenditure that they are doing and they are taking in the practice, and what's the consequence in the rest for health, not only for improve the performance between the effort and rest, to translate to the normal life, the real life, not only for the competition at the young age, and the transmitting the importance from the next year or the next decades. For that, we can see here in this slide, glucose metabolism is altered, the insulin sensitivity, the catecholamines, the lipolysis, etc., always with the exercise. Spontaneous, if you think the exercise is planned, okay, it's very, very useful to obtain or get the objective, the goals. And what's happened with the fat oxidation? What the fat, not another words, no? The importance from dehydration and exercise and performance, like Daniel Pleus and Professor Paul B. Larsen say in this post, no? Always the start point is basal parameters and relationship with physical effort. And if we are going to do a test in the treadmill, ergometer, or different sensor device or body scale, like impression, no? The feelings about the effort, we can check what's happening about the substrates, carbohydrate, fats, and exercise intensity relationship, and what's happening with all of them. Well, we can see here in this picture from Ask Jagendrup and Acton, carbohydrate intake reduce fat oxidation. For that is the application for the intakes at different times during the day, in the early morning for the first training or first session, and what's happening with the second session, what's happening with the next day session, no? And the nutritional periodization during the day from previous load of energy, carbohydrates, etc., or different supplements with evidence, and what's happening with the recovery, or what's happening with the adaptation we are trying to force, no, for the athletes. In this case, we go to the study, and we can see here in the picture from Analysis Watch account. Is very useful. I recommend to follow them. And what's happened with the maximum fat oxidation, or the fat oxidation in a different intensity from compared to the VO2 max, no? And what's happened with the carbohydrate intake during or previously to the started training, and what's happening with the goal, no? Improve the body composition, improve the physiological processes, or what's happening with the performance, no? We try to put in a clear image, clear picture to the student in the master, with different options, with different possibility, not only related to fat max, instead of, for example, to the energy consumption during the effort, and correlated with the external load like kilometer, power, another thing. No, and not only in endurance, like me or my classes in another team sport and power sport with other college and other professor. We can see here in the post from Daniel Pleus and Professor Larsen, we can see the different fat max curves between highly or moderate uh, trained people, or walking, cycling, uh, taking carbohydrates or placebo drink or food or supplement, or what's happened between the different from women or men, females and males. And we can see, for example, in Nutri, Mont Blanc, Canarias, in another part of the world, we can see the women or the women are reaching the performance of the top in the overall classification, no, from males. For example, top 10 in the last race, we can see what's happening with the metabolism, the body composition, and especially with training and nutrition, no? And in this graph, we can see the difference between the fat oxidation at different intensity uh, between male and female. No. We can see here in the effects of lactic acid from McLaren and Morton book. We can see here the store in the liver. We have the glycogen, go to pyruvates, and go to the glucose until the blood to go to the muscle to be used, no, to obtain the energy to the movement, mechanical movement, no, like running, cycling, etc. And this is a cycling, a cycling phase, because always are using or reusing the energy, like the low, say, the energy not disappear, we are transforming. In the recovery, for example, in the training process, like interval or different sets with rest duration, modifying the density between effort and recovery, what's happening with the energy, what happened with the substrates like carbohydrate, especially with the glucose, no? When we are in recovery phase, we can see here the glucose go to the muscle, but not for use, is to store like a glycogen muscle glycogen, and go to increase the reserve for the next effort, no? Depending how manage the athletes, the effort and recovery, and what's happening with his or their liver and their muscle, the substrates or carbohydrates, sorry, are moving in different option, different ways to use or store for the next effort or the next session. In this case, we can see here and we work in class about the what's happening with the oxidation rate from fats or carbohydrate. We take the papers, we take or analyze the paper, the formula, the different option, like we can see here in the slide about the frame research for the 80 years. What's translate the data from papers to apply. For example, in Excel file, we can see that we only need to take the VO2 and VCO2 values from SSI tests with gases, with spirometry. With these two variables, we can estimate a more individual approximation about the what's about the expenditure from carbohydrates and what's from fats, and what's happening with the nutritional planning, not only for the diet plan, for the competition plan too, like for example the time between the different options to take, for example, a gel or bar or fruit or sandwich, or depend of the different option and different sport modalities. No, so that is quite important to take the data, check the values from the different athletes, and personalize the diet plan and the supplement option planning during the competition, during the recovery. We can see another formula from Ask Jakendrup and Gareth Wallis from 2005, and we use a lot this formula, different college from Frame or like Inigo San Millán used in the previous paper, or Jakendrup and Wallis formulas we use a lot to, in the same way, take the formula, put in an Excel file, analyze the data from VO2 and VCO2 values, and after that, interpreting the data to translate the numbers to food or supplement at different time option to the athletes and the training session, recovery, or competition purpose. In this graph from Isolberby glucose, we can see like the carbohydrate oxidation are increasing in different ways, different different option and different intensity of what's happening between the fat and the carbohydrate at 1 power, especially, for example, in watts per kilogram, especially relative for body weight, for example, for cycling or for another purpose, which is very important to the total weight. After that, we have to check the grams per minute are oxidizing the athletes at different intensity. For example, in zone 2, easy zone to ride or to run or to swing, to scales, different options to endurance sport, different options are at intensities, and after that what's happened with the training plan during the season, for example, for different period of loading, rest, peak performance to reach in 1 month or 1 week or one day, for example, this summer for Olympics game, or what's happened, for example, today in the Roland Garros, or what's happened the last week in the Giro d'Italia. No? And for that, it's very important to check, to assess longitudinally the process between metabolism and mechanical work, especially at substrates oxidation and use. We can use another device like lactate in the ear or finger, and we can see the response between the anaerobic way or the anaerobic metabolism implicating the lactate production, or of course the carbohydrate use in non-oxidative way. I say with this movement because it's very polemical thing today, but yeah, when we see lactate are increasing, okay, we are implicating in more detail or more a more amount of carbohydrate oxidation in the different intensity. Like we can see here, the intensity in watts per kilogram is increasing. And for that, it's very useful to see the difference between the dot line and the continuous line about the processes, in 1 year or one part of the season, or different training program, or different option, for example, for equipment or shoes or different material, or after an altitude stage, or using supplements. Yeah, depend a lot of a lot of things. Well, in this thing, always about the continuum from the intensity, we have to consider the high intensity interval training, like polarized training. High intensity is therefore a low intensity or rest is the recovery phase, for example, for interval. What's happening with continuous training, like fartlek, and what's happening in the performance and in the health. And for that is useful and important to use the terminology and what's happening with different training. For that, the nutritionist and dietitian nutritionist need to be familiar with the words terminology used in the training, be in contact with the coach, the trainer, the athletes, and try to know all the things about the characteristics of the training parts, different goals to the density between efforts and rest, and what's happening with that. Like we can show before in the image, from muscle and liver and rest or exercise from McLaren and Morton. We can see a lot of terminology, words and classification from interval, continuous, intensity, from performance or health, and we always like to share with my student, with my athletes, with another college or coaches about what they are using in the training program, or what they are familiar in the nutritional periodization with the athletes are using different options. In the power in the power world, or the power area, or the power field in cycling, triathlon, or running, we can see graphs about the power profile or speed profile, something like this picture, no? Always the duration or the short duration, more power, long duration, less power or less. What's happening in the middle? What's happening between the ventilatory threshold 1 or 2, critical speed, or functional threshold power, the different concept, no, of terms of the anaerobic threshold. We can see here the relationship between the work capacity in kilojoules that we say before about the put the work capacity linked to nutrition, what's happened between kilojoule from work and what's happening with kilojoules from energy, from intake, from carbohydrates or fats, etc. And what is about the expenditure, depending of the watts, the power during the session, depending of the mechanical work, we adjust the nutrition, the diet plan, the supplement option under recovery. For that, it's very important to know about the program, about the training program, what is the goal or the main goal for the session, and we can adjust the nutrition. We can see different intensity classification and picture, like we can see here or here, a different zone depending of fixed values to related to the power or duration, and we can see the movement from this core or these areas from power zones to another one, increasing the width or the height to the power reach in the training or with the nutritional help. This is another one with percentage, and this is another one we can classify the level for my athlete with the power, and after that we can translate to the nutritional option that we said before. And it's another useful option to do a power speed profile, like we can see here, the weapons related to the areas we have to improve, for example, for competition, for a sprint, or for long effort, or work for another college or teammate. No, it's very useful. Not only improve the power, for example, we can improve the body composition, and after that they are implicating the power, because we can increase the muscle mass, we can reduce the fat mass, and in this case we are changing the power production. For that we are improving the the low level at different zones for the power profile. We can see a performance index, like we can see here, and take number to check the progression during the time, during the session, during the next year or Olympic cycle. in this area, we use in a practical way the HRV, the heart rate variability we said before, we were talking before, is another variable for the heart rate and non-invasive, and yeah, we can see during the session in real time, like in the road or in the mountain or in the track and field, like say in athletics, no, or yeah, in ergometer, no, that you can see here with a tablet, and we can check with different options, and very practically use the threshold in this way, non-invasive, and you don't need uh, anything else. We can see that the research are validating this device, this technological option to translate the science to the practice, to the field, not only to do research, not only to write papers, but we can see this paper from this year, from the last 6 weeks, 2 months, published online. And the beginning of the year, we can see in the classroom to goes to evaluate with HRV threshold different option about the running, the cycling, without lactate or ventilatory threshold or power, etc. We only need a tablet and just wraps to assess the threshold in a non-invasive way. This time we can put in a graph the limits from the threshold, some 1, some 2, or some 3, in a more simple classification, or more simple picture. We can see to the left, yeah, you can see here in the zone 3 is high intensity, is above the anaerobic threshold, or BT2 lactate threshold, or yeah, depending of FTP or critical power, with power number, etc. And this is, for example, in thermal training, for example, for heat. The polarized training, no, is between high intensity, and the recovery is a low intensity, goes below the aerobic threshold, the VT1, or the lactic threshold 1, no, the low intensity, when the athletes obtain another gains, for example, for mitochondria, the blood and the vessel, or the blood vessels, and the angiogenesis, and other important things, for example, like fat max or another we saw before. No, in the middle between threshold is another type of training. It's very important, for example, for amateur people and the elite athletes. In a big number are using the polarized training, maybe not with a focus, but always, if you consider the competition level, the competition velocity of power, you have to work at this high intensity, but you have to recover, looking for this adaptation, this physiological adaptation. For that is very important to go to recover at low intensity, and maybe you are competing the average for the long effort, for example, for 5 hours cycling ride, you go to the mean heart rate, or the mean power is in zone 2. For that, it's very illustrative, this picture, because you can understand what's happening in the training and in the master, in the different classes. We can see and we can evaluate and we can check different options, for example, to analyze it, to training to do the training prescription. We can use another classification, for example, 5 zones or 7 zones or 9 zones, where we see the power profiles graphs before, no? But yeah, we can always use if we have clear what we are doing. For that, it's very important that trainer, professor, or college, that they are working, or we are working with this language translated to the student. No, this is some parts of the theoretical and practical classes during the master. We can see here it's very important to link the maximal capacity, the VO2 max in aerobic concept to the, for example, fat oxidation and carbohydrate oxidation. We are reserving the carbohydrate because it's a limit fight to the performance, and the athlete depend of the previous load or the intake during. But if we can improve their cardiorespiratory fitness, always we are changing the metabolism inside their body. We can see here we are moving the crossover point. We are moving the maximum fat oxidation percentage or relative intensity at the beginning, from the next month, next year, next Olympic cycle, depending of the purpose and the goal. No, we can see here from Inigo San Millán, the performance responsible for Emirates cycling team in cycling, and Athletic Club de Bilbao in Spanish Football League. They are translating the research in metabolism, for example, with cancer patients, and high performance or moderate performance with metabolically impaired patient. What's happened with their metabolism, and what can extract about the information to put in practice in training and nutritional periodization. We can see here the different fat max curves. For example, in the top, the high level for professional cycling riders or athletes, and less fit individuals in the middle, are in the other is metabolic syndrome with different pathological affection to the health, not only for the performance. No. And what's happening about the strategies to improve, for example, the running economy, the first concept we saw today. What's happening about that? We can see here the strength training is very important, not only for power or strength sport, like athletics, or like bodybuilding, or CrossFit. Yeah, depending of what you think about the strength training. No? When I saw you before one book about hypertrophy for breast comfort, one reference guide today in the strength training and protein metabolism and intakes for strength training, but you have to move to the endurance athletes too, because it's improving some parts of their power profiles that they are in a low level or less fit. You can see here nutritional strategy are very useful too. I try to put today, the link between nutrition and training. And another thing I said before, the altitude training, because with the altitude training, the trainers or the athletes are looking for improve their physiological adaptation, maybe for aerobic objectives to improve the hemoglobin, the aerobic metabolites or the aerobic enzymes. You move not only the for example, for speed modalities like athletics, like high jump, throws, or long jump, etc. They have beneficial improvement with the altitude for the pressure, and the oxygen concentration is not a limiting factor for them. But when we use in endurance training, we always trying to look for another improve in physiological adaptation, always with aerobic purpose. Blood, the content of this blood, and the power at this altitude. Always when we go to the sea level again, we are in a high level, no? And all our athletes are in a high level. For example, this week, Tadej Pogacar, the winner of the Giro d'Italia, the last Sunday, was talking about, okay, we are going to rest some days, and after that go to altitude training until some days before the Tour de France begins. For that, they are resting, but they are looking of trying to improve their performance after a big effort like 3 weeks Grand Tour like Giro d'Italia. No? After that is another option, but we have to take care about the training process and the high altitude, and what's happening about the nutrition and this altitude. No? For example, we research about the addition for strength training for cyclists, and we can see in this paper they are improving some parts of the power profile in mountain bike riders. We research in another paper the addition of strength training to off-road or mountain bike cyclists is useful comparing to endurance strength training. Typically, the endurance athletes use in the past, not today, but in the past. No, for that, the amateur people or between the threshold, you remember about the difference of like endurance training in low intensity during the training session in the gym plan, but adding maximal or grand and effort or high effort to the training is not limiting, it's adding beneficial aspect, or you are improving different aspects to the performance of the athletes. After that, linking the training in endurance with altitude, we researched some years ago nutritional strategies in an elite marathoner endurance athletes at very high altitude. The usual altitude is 2,500 meter of altitude. We go higher because the athlete was training a lot with intermittent hypoxia, goes to Colorado in United States to train in 2,500 altitude training, and after that he needs to move in a higher altitude because the adaptation doesn't occur if always training in the same way. For that he was needing to move in a higher altitude. We were doing a research about the nutritional implication, not only training and hydration And we can see here in the training in the raining and the mountains in Peru at least 4,000 meters. After that, we can see here different device, and we can see here different device used for athletes. For example, Christian Blumenfeld, we talked before, and what's happening in the lab. We can see here the record of VO2 max this year, and we can see here from Íñigo San Millán and Tadej Pogacar some years ago when he reached the podium in the Vuelta a España, the ultrasound to measure the glycogen in real time after the stage during the Vuelta. For that is different option today, different option to interpret the data between effort and nutritional option, for example, for recovery, or what's happening about the revolution in the endurance training, for example, for Norwegian method, from athletics, the Ingebrigtsen brothers, and they are changing, but they are using the lactate to training prescription. Sorry. We can see here how to apply the Norwegian method to training, use the maximum lactate steady state, the MLSS, to obtain the marginal or the big gains, not marginal. We can see different research paper about that because they are changing the way to understand the endurance training. And we can see here about one thing is from the last decade of the previous century, and we are using today with another purpose. And for that, some people, they were refuting the use of lactate, and now is the newest. And of course, it's not the newest. It's only if we can use the data to interpret and apply in a different way to improve. We can see the different options in nutritional. We know about the oxidation depending of the intakes, a different option from carbohydrates, glucose, fructose, etc. And we can see different options to intake these different types of carbohydrates or different carbohydrate sources. We can use, or we are using different apps to translate the data for the software at the artificial intelligence to analyze, goes to the kitchen, goes to the cooker, the chef, with the information from dietitian nutritional, interpret the data from the training session or competition profile. After that, we can see different options. For example, in nutritional strategy, mixing the fructose and rice, for example, adding fructose to the glucose or maltodextrins from fruits or for powder or for ham, jam, and go to the option in the table, in the breakfast table, jam, honey, of course, different typical or classical thing like cereal, bread, pasta, rice, etc. And what's happening about the new origin carbohydrate recent and application, we translate this information to the real scenario. We can see here about the Gareth Valley. We talked before about the different formulas, different research paper, etc. And my last message to take home is read does not make you fat. For that, I would like to reach the long age or a big age to continue doing endurance training, and always with her. For that, thanks a lot for your attention. If you have any question, I would like, and I here to respond. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raul. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much for the talk. Thank you for your time. And thanks to all of you for your attention, to be here with us and the participation in this Train and Sport Nutrition evening. Thank you to all of you. See you.